You can get ripped eating out at restaurants. Now you may not believe it, but it's true. Dieting is hard enough when you're at home, but life isn't perfect, and a lot of times you're going to have to eat out. Maybe you're a businessman who gets called out on a lot of dinners. Maybe you're someone who doesn't want to cook that night and you want to go out to a restaurant, or maybe you just got invited out by some friends and you really want to go and you don't want to be depriving yourself of that fun experience because you're dieting. Either way, willpower doesn't last forever, and there's going to be times when you want to go out to a restaurant and eat. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 5 important rules that you can follow to stay on your diet or even get leaner when you eat out at restaurants or you have to eat away from home. Now, tip number 1 is going to be to skip the appetizers and the desserts. Appetizers and desserts are literally made to confuse our body's satiety signal. When you start out your meal with a fried, salty, sweet thing like your crunchy shrimp tempura, you're destabilizing your blood sugar and you're going to make yourself want to eat more when the meal comes around. Additionally, when you have dessert, the sugar literally stretches your stomach and makes room for more. So you're having a bigger stomach, you're also getting more food, and you're getting higher calorie dense food because you're at a restaurant and they cook it in a bunch of butters and oils. And so you can do a lot of damage if you're not careful. So what I'm going to suggest is if you get an appetizer, then stick to an appetizer that's very simple in its ingredients, very low in added sauces, and has a little bit more protein. You always want to start a meal with protein and a little bit of fat to maintain the optimal satiety cues. If you're going to have an appetizer and a dessert, that's really going to be too much. Honestly, I don't think you have the calories for that. What you can do is share it with someone. Make sure that there's someone there with you and that they can take the bulk of the dessert or the bulk of the appetizer so you can kind of whet your appetite a little bit and feel like you got to taste it, but you're not tempted to have any more. It might be hard in the moment, but you're going to feel so much more satisfied with yourself if you go home knowing that you didn't have all those empty calories. You're not going to feel bloated, lethargic from all those oils, and your performance in the gym isn't going to suffer. The next tip I'm going to have is eating familiar foods in simple combinations. When you're away from home, your cortisol is often really high and your satiety cues are all over the place. So the best thing you can do is choose foods that look familiar. These are probably going to be the healthy foods that you've already been eating. It's going to be lean meats, it's going to be your tubers, it's going to be some rice, and it's going to be steamed veggies. So a simple combination is going to be getting a steak, like a filet steak. It's going to be getting a baked potato and maybe some steamed broccoli, and you should ask for them to cook it in less butter. If you eat familiar foods and you eat them in simple combinations, then it's going to be a lot easier to tell your satiety because the more variables that you introduce in a meal, the harder of a time your brain has actually processing the different tastes and the different things that you're eating. The more familiar the things are, the less trouble you're going to have and the less stress you're going to have about putting those things into your calorie tracking app of choice. Because the more time you're going to be spending thinking about, man, what should I eat? How should I track this? I don't know what this has. The more you're actually going to want to eat because of that stress. And obviously, even when choosing these familiar foods, if you know that something is very hard for you to control, then this is not the time to order it. You might be very familiar with ice cream, but obviously that doesn't mean that you should be ordering it. The next tip is actually going to be to not overemphasize the protein. Protein is the most satiating macronutrient, but only up till a point. And then carbs and fats are even more important for hormonal function. So oftentimes I find that if you overeat on protein, you'll still end up kind of craving a little bit more. A lot of times these protein sources at restaurants are cooked in a lot of butter and oil, and so that's just going to add a ton of fat to whatever you're getting. So if you're trying to get a lot of protein at dinner, you might end up just overeating in fat, and then you still crave carbs, and you know that the carbs are going to come with fats also, and now you've just blown your entire deficit out of the water. Now you can ask for your protein to be cooked in less fat, and you should, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be a catch-all and take all the fat out of it or make it completely fit within your macros. Now what I do suggest is that you go for simple protein sources, again like fish, chicken breast, or steak, and you ask them specifically to cook it with less butter and less oil. If you feel really embarrassed about this, one thing you can do is tell the waiter that you have a dairy allergy or that you have an allergy to a particular oil, and then you probably won't feel as awkward about ordering like that because sometimes it can be a little bit awkward to order knowing that you're on a diet versus ordering if you just have an allergy to something. Now, another thing that I do recommend related to protein is to actually have more protein throughout the day before your dinner and then to save your carbs and fats for dinner time when you know that you're probably going to be over at the restaurant. So that way, when you come to the restaurant, you've already had maybe about 60 grams of protein. You know, hey, I only need about another 60 grams more for the day, and you can get a 6 ounce or an 8 ounce filet and get like a really nice side of fries or something like that that you really have been craving, which has tons of carbs and fats. And then you feel satisfied and you don't overdo it because you didn't try to get in all this protein and end up getting yourself the 16 ounce ribeye that I'm sure you were craving, but is loaded in fat. Now real quick, if you made it this far into the video, then you're going to want to check out the free link that I have in the description below, which is actually going to be a cheat sheet that I made for you guys with all of these tips and tricks on it. This is the first time that I've done something like this, and I'm just giving it away for free to hopefully create more engagement with you guys. So if you are interested, please go ahead and click the link in the description. It's totally free, there's no strings attached, and hopefully it'll help you stay on track the next time you're out at a restaurant but not able to pull out your phone and watch this YouTube video again. Tip number 4 is going to be all about alcohol. Alcohol is a literal poison. It kills your hormones, it kills your brain cells, it kills your livers, it kills your kidneys, and most importantly, I think, it kills your gains. If you are going to drink, there is a little bit of good news here. Some research has actually shown that moderate consumption of alcohol can boost testosterone and cognitive function. So if you are going to go out once a week, you can have a drink or two, and I don't think it's going to make a huge impact in your body composition. If you're someone who's trying to get very, very lean, then I do think this becomes more of an issue, but for the average guy, not really. What I will say is that here you're going to want to stick to hard liquors or simple drinks. And an easy rule of thumb is that each shot of liquor has about 100 calories. Now additionally, what you can do is have these drinks mixed with 0-calorie things like sparkling water, or you can even do like a diet ginger ale or diet soda. I don't recommend that you go for mixed drinks under any circumstance because those are just going to be hundreds of calories added in from your liqueurs, from the sugars, and it's just gonna make you go way over on your calories for no particular reason. A couple easy suggestions are something like a vodka soda. You could get a whiskey on the rocks, or you can even get a rum and coke with some Diet Coke instead of regular Coke. If you're someone who's staying sober, but you still want to drink something fun, then you can always go for a sparkling water with lime or lemon. That's always a winning choice. And so the last tip is actually going to be to practice mindful eating. Like I said, when you're out at restaurants, your cortisol is really high, and it's going to be very difficult to tell your satiety cues. So what I suggest is to really focus on your food. Take time, chew your food thoroughly, and focus on the fact that you're enjoying a meal out. Don't think about it as a diet, don't think about your macros, just think, hey, this is a treat, I've worked hard for this, I'm enjoying this, and I know it's still going to be within my calories, I'm probably going to feel great, and just focus on the experience. Mindful eating can also be important even if you're having something like a salad, because you're going to get the dressing on the side, as you should. Don't get it on your actual salad, and just take a little bit, as much as you need to feel satisfied. You don't need all of it, you just need a little bit. And if you pay attention to the flavor, you pay attention to the food you're eating, you can be satisfied on a lot less. I also recommend having your protein first so that you can keep your satiety cues in check, and then having your carbs and fats. Now with your carbs and fats, if you order fries or something like that, just have as much as you need. And then when you're done, wipe your face with your napkin and then put it on your plate. If you have the food sitting out right in front of you, oftentimes you're just going to be tempted to pick at it and have a little bit more. And by having your napkin, putting it over your face, and then putting it on the plate, you're not going to want to eat it anymore. There's no temptation because you've kind of ruined the food. Why are you going to eat that that's had the napkin and stuff all over it? You don't want it anymore. And in that way, mindful eating can be extremely powerful when you're out at restaurants. So comment down below, did you find this video helpful? Is there anything else that you'd like me to make a video on? And if you haven't already, please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button so you can stay up to date when I post new content. I post a new video every single Thursday and you don't want to miss one. And if you made it to the end of this video, I appreciate you. Please don't stop now. Go ahead and watch one of the 2 videos that's gonna pop up on screen. They're both great, both educational. Good luck staying on your diet when you eat out, and I'll see you in the next video.